probably 70 to 80 of the things you're doing are failing and you have no idea.
Hi there and welcome to From Ideas to Results. Today I'm joined by Chris, who is part of our data team here at Sleeping Giant Media, and we're going to dive into all the things that have been happening in the world of data in the last 30 days. So kicking things off, Chris, talk me through, we're talking about Google Cloud Platform. There is now sort of paid elements to that. Why would somebody use those over, say, some of the free parts at GA4?
We've been spoiled for many years by free analytics. In many cases, you get what you pay for. There are lots of features that are available in the unit UI, but there are also things that are missing. So if you have BigQuery, for example, and you pull that data from GA4 into BigQuery, you've essentially got access to the raw data. Depending on how you've got things set up, if you've got advanced consent mode, you have access to all of your opted out hits as well as your opted in hits, while within the UI, there'll be modeling if you reach the thresholds to be able to use that. There can also be lots of black box elements to that where I don't really understand why this is behaving in this way. Go into BigQuery, look at the raw data and say, oh, this is what was seen, this is how many hits were seen. If you've got experiments, you can start saying what was the actual revenue, not what was the revenue including some modeling. So I'm not entirely sure exactly what it is. We've got very clear raw data that you can make use of things like SQL to do much more sophisticated things than you can do in the UI.
In summary, essentially we're saying that GA4 is free, but it's summaried and sampled. It's
Yes.
but if you go to another thing, you pay for it, you get specific and then raw data to give you that additional kind of insight that could be worth more than the value of the cost of the tool itself.
Yeah, and particularly in today's world where you may be dealing with 25% of opted out users, where technically that's not observed anymore. If you don't reach the right thresholds, then the modeling doesn't even work for things like sessions, and it may not even work for things like conversions, depending on whether you're reaching the right levels.
So what other sort of advantages are there to the sort of the paid side of things when it comes to those tools?
It is a whole suite of tools. On one side there's BigQuery. BigQuery, you have the power of SQL. SQL, you can do so many things. With the raw data, start breaking it down in all sorts of different ways. You can create attribution models. You can create just standard reports that you would use in Looker Studio, but with opted in and opted out data. If you're able to use sort of event level or hit level tracking, then you've got access to everything if you've got advanced consent mode in place, and you can do really cool things. Within GA4, you couldn't create a report which is how many times has a user refreshed this particular page. On that same page, do we have rage clicks happening as well? Combine those things together to say, oh, actually, maybe there's an issue here. That would be quite difficult and impossible to do within the GA4 interface, which you could do with BigQuery. You've also got things like Cloud Run or App Engine, which are both ways that you can implement server-side tagging. Server-side tagging is one of the ways of dealing with the cookieless world. In particular, the depreciation of cookies rather than not needing cookies at all, because cookies are still used in that instance, but it's one of the ways that you can pass first-party data across. So if you're using Facebook, you really should have CAPI in place, and CAPI requires server-side of some form. Cloud Run or App Engine are both ways that you can do that within GCP.
If you're paying for analytics, why not use some of the other platforms? Because there are paid other platforms out there.
Google Analytics, despite the pains that many of us have with how it's changed over the years, and it is harder to use in many respects, it is still the most used analytics platform. It still provides good tactical data that you can use at channel level. There are tools out there like Matomo or Piwik. However, GA4 is still a good solution. And one that people are used to. It's easy for people to integrate with lots of other systems. The benefit of something like Matomo over GA4 is actually they use IP address along with a few other things instead of cookies to help with our data. But Google Analytics has been in that ecosystem for such a long time. Google Ads is still one of the biggest platforms for marketing, and it integrates seamlessly. Those things. So.
Rather than changing from an analytics platform, then what else other things could we do? Like, so instead of, if you're looking for those sort of additional insights but at a much lower cost or potentially free, what sort of things can people look to do?
Yeah, so the tools that I would go for first are something like session recording. So actually being able to see what people do, quite an eye opener. You always think, I've designed my page like this, they're going to go from the top left and they're going to work their way down. That's not how people are. They do all sorts of crazy things, and with session recording you can see the mouse moving around, you can see how they're flipping between pages, and you just get much more insight as to what users do. It takes a lot of time and effort to go through session recordings, but they're also great ways that you can break those down and find specific things. If you add events into something like Clarity or Hotjar, A/B testing tools. If you have a few £1,000, then you could get something like A/B Tasty or Optimizely or something like that. I think one of the shocking statistics is about 70 to 80% of experiments fail. So if you're not running experiments, probably 70 to 80 of the things you're doing are failing, and you just don't know. And that stat is of professionals that are testing things and really know what they're doing. While gut feel and understanding is an important thing, as always in business, actually adding a bit of science to it, building up your mental model and making sure that you're testing yourself and not just making assumptions that may not be right is really important.
And there's a comment here about zero-party data.
Zero-party data is the data that your customers have themselves. It's so important to actually talk to your customers. I think there's a lot of things, especially in digital, where you never really get to see people and you never get to ask the question, why did you do that? You know, what is it that you found difficult with this? Again, it's building up that mental model of what are the pain points. You can, with analytics, get some idea of there's probably an issue here. It very rarely answers the question why. Ask a couple of hundred people and probably get a much clearer idea very quickly that will feed into your experiments super fast.
If you found the content useful, if you'd like to find out more information, there's loads of stuff on our website that you can download, previous marketing leadership series, as well as our events coming up, which we'll be promoting on our social channels. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again next time.